All right, guys. So in this video, I want to talk about, is SEO actually right for your business? Is it the best move that you should actually make in terms of growing your business, getting more customers or clients and growing? Or should you be looking at another avenue of marketing? Because I've noticed a lot of things come up where business owners have heard of SEO and they think it's a great idea because they heard about it or they've seen someone else get success with it. But they don't actually understand what it is and how long it's going to take and what kind of investment it requires and whether it's actually the best move compared to all the other different marketing channels you could be taking. So one of the things is, if you have a new business, so let's say you got a new business, you've literally just started. I find this is one of the most common cases of this, where it'll be a new business, they've just started, there might be like 1 or 2 months, or maybe they're literally trying to get it off the ground and they think I should do SEO because it's free traffic, or, they saw some other company that was similar getting a lot of traffic or whatever. However, what they don't realize is that the amount of time and effort it's going to require to actually do SEO, whether you are doing it yourself or whether you're paying somebody to do it for you, you're still going to have to factor in about 6 to 9 months, typically speaking, especially if it's a new business and a new website, before you really see any sort of substantial results. So you have to then consider, how are you going to make this 0 to 9 month period with no traffic and this cost or this time suck that's coming out, right? And so I think a lot of businesses are not actually aware of what's actually required to go in it, because they think that that's a good idea, but how are you going to get customers or clients for 9 months to cover your business expenses and actually run, let alone like the fact that you won't actually be growing in this period until it actually starts working, right? So that's probably one of the biggest mistakes. And generally, in my opinion, most new businesses really shouldn't be doing SEO alone at all, like as the main method of marketing to try and get customers. It's definitely a good idea if Google's the avenue that will work for your type of business, but it shouldn't be the only one you're relying on, because again, you're going to be waiting a very long time before you start seeing anything serious from it. And so most businesses probably won't make this time gap, let alone if they have to pay somebody, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, sometimes more dollars a month to do the SEO for them to try and get them results. So that's the thing you got to consider. Now, the next thing is like, are people actually searching for it? So I'm just going to put search volume. So what you need to consider is that SEO or anything on Google search is highly reliant on how many people are actually looking for the thing on Google. And so while sometimes it might seem like it's a good idea, when you actually take a look at the numbers, it's not viable enough to even do it. And even if it is viable enough, like there is a decent amount of searches, often it's not enough volume to actually get enough traffic to actually pay the cost of doing the SEO in the first place. So like, let's say, for example, you're paying somebody, let's say this 9-month period, again, hypothetically, you're paying them, let's say $2,000-3,000 a month. That's going to be $18,000 to $26,000 a month or whatever that works out to be by the time you've paid them for 9 months. And you need to make that money back in profit to even just break even in that period. And to make, let's say, $18,000 in profit, you're going to need a lot of website visitors to buy a lot of stuff from you in order for that to happen. Now, in cases where it's a service type business, let's say law firms or plumbing or something like that, where the average job or the average client can be worth, a couple grand or at least $1,000, that can work. But the problem is, if it's a lower ticket e-com store, that's never going to add up. Like, you literally do not have enough search volume to come in to actually justify the cost of the SEO, let alone try and make a profit on it. And so that's another mistake I see that's very common. Now, the next thing that you should consider is whether, let's say, the potential loss is worth it. So let's say, for example, I'll just write potential loss. And what I mean by that is, let's say you've got $2,000 a month to spend on marketing. You could invest $2,000 a month in SEO, see nothing for like 6 to 9 months. Or you could invest that $2,000 a month in paid ads and see results pretty much immediately. And then that'll allow you to scale over the next 6 months. And by the time you hit 6 to 9 months, you now have a profitable business, ideally, that's making actual money. And then you can start looking at doing an SEO like further down the line, maybe a few months in. So that's what I mean by potential loss. Is it worth it to spend that 9 months just investing in SEO, waiting for results? Now, if you're running a type of business where you already get referrals or you already have current customers and clients, then yes, that can be fine. If you're just trying to grow slowly and you want to look for like 1 year ahead, then typically that's a good idea. If you're a new business just trying to get off the ground, like I mentioned already, that's definitely not a good idea. And typically I would not recommend focusing on SEO in the beginning because it's just going to take too long. So you have to consider that there's always another option that you should look at, and that option might be a better option than this. So these are some of the key things that you need to consider if you're thinking about doing SEO. Now, a couple instances where it is a good idea. One other quick point I want to make about the new business thing, I've already rubbed it off, but with new businesses, things are always very risky. And so the other thing you have to accept is that you might be risking that, that 0 to 9 month thing I drew here, the timeline. You might be risking spending 9 months investing in SEO only to find find out 9 months later that for some reason your business doesn't work. And so that's also another consideration you have to make, is whether the risk is worth it. It's usually not, because there's usually faster and cheaper ways to find out if the business is actually viable and you have a proof of concept first. So that's something to keep in mind also. Now that brings me to my next point. One of the best things when you should do SEO is when you have a proof of concept. And what I mean by that is, does the business already get customers or clients? And ideally, does it get it from Google already? It's proven to be popular in some other, let's say some other marketing channel, and you are getting customers online, or at least from somewhere. That's typically a good sign that you've got a proof of concept. People actually do want what you're selling. And then from there, you can look at doing SEO and it will probably work. But you need to have a proof of concept first before you invest 9 months, a year into SEO only to find whether it will work or not. That's not the best way to do it. The second one is if it's already an established business. So established business. So if you've already been running the business for a while, you've been running some sort of paid marketing, or you're getting customers somehow. And again, it's an established business. You've got recurring revenue and you've got a bit of money to actually spend on marketing, and you want to carry this business on into the long term, then doing SEO is typically a good idea based on a few factors I'm going to go into in a minute. In that scenario, then it's usually a good idea because now you have a bit of extra income that you can invest into this thing. It's not going to be the end of the world if it takes a little bit longer or something like that. Then that situation is good. But in order to do that, you need to have search volume. So no matter whether the business is actually established, whether that you're getting, customers or clients successfully through Facebook or social media of some kind, if there is not enough search volume on Google search, it doesn't matter what happened elsewhere. It's not a good idea to do SEO because, again, you just will not get people to the site enough to actually cover the costs and actually bring a profit. So basically everything has some degree of search volume, a few hundred users a month here or there, whatever, but that's not enough to actually sustain any kind of business. Usually in terms of search volume, you want to see at least few thousand on the main keyword, or close to at least 1,000 searches a month on the main keyword, and have several of those keywords. And that's typically meaning that you've got enough search volume here to work with. Again, if you're selling big ticket items that you need to sell less of, that's even better. You can work with lower search volume. If you're selling low ticket and you need to do high volume, then you really need tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands searches a month to actually make it worthwhile. And that's typically e-com businesses with lower ticket products, especially if they're one-off sale. They usually need huge volume to make SEO actually worthwhile. Now, one other thing that you should do is if you've been running Google ads and the Google ads have been working and you make money and you get customers from them, typically that's a good sign that SEO is a good idea, because essentially Google ads are just a paid way to get in front of people on Google search, and SEO is the free way. Even though it's not exactly free, you're obviously paying with either your time or money to someone to do it, but you're paying for the same thing essentially. And so if it works on Google ads, it's probably going to work on SEO as well. So if you're running successful Google ads campaigns, you should definitely consider SEO for long-term, scalable growth that's not going to cost you significantly more in ad budget. So those are a few things that I think everyone should consider if they're thinking about doing SEO, because these are factors that are critical, and you need to actually be aware that in many cases, SEO is not a best move or potentially even a good move at all. And so you need to know that before you even consider paying somebody to do it, because the worst thing is that most SEO agencies won't actually tell you this. If you come to them and say, I want SEO, they will sell you SEO, and a year later, you'll find out that you're not getting any traffic. You typically won't tell you that it's not a good idea because there's not enough volume. Some honest ones will, but a lot won't. And so you need to be really careful. You can't rely on their opinion for that. So that's basically it. Hopefully this clears some things up and gives you an idea of whether you should even look at SEO for your business or not. If you have any questions about this, put them in the comments below and I will answer them. Otherwise, if you'd like me to tell you whether SEO is actually a good idea for your business and then potentially do it for you, you can book a call with me on dominatemarketing.io. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Catch you on the next one.